Hi. Yeah, before we went on the break, I highlighted some of the problems we actually encounter that makes our computer run slow. And we're going to talk about some of the fix to these applications. I first of all mention about your browser add-ons. One way to deal with this is to disable add-ons that you don't use often. For if you run Google Chrome, the most easiest way to disable your add-on is to right click on any extension button that is at the top side of the browser close to the address bar and uncheck or disable all the add-ons you're not using or you don't use often. If you have not used an add-on in 1 month, then there are chances that you don't need it. For Firefox, you simply just hit on the menu button on the far right, select the add-ons or the extension, select or disable each of the add-ons you don't use often. If your hard drive is failing, there are actually free tools you can run if you use Windows. One of them is CheckDix. If you use Mac, you can download a free app called HD Tune. This application will scan the entire sectors of your hard drive, and if they find any bad sector, they'll report it to you. When the bad sector becomes too much, the best way to deal with this is to change the hard drive completely. So just get to a computer repair center and get the hard drive changed completely. Because this hard drive are actually meant to be changed over a particular time. A rule of thumb is to always back up your information, your critical information, to an external media. In the case of running too many applications, you can check by using your taskbar to see how many applications are actually running. The taskbar will give you a pictorial illustration in terms of like a map or like a graph on how your memories is being consumed. And if you run a Windows, you simply just go on the taskbar, right click on an application you're not using or an application that is using up too much memory and simply end it. If you are a heavy browser, you have a lot of windows open all the time, a rule of thumb would be to keep your browser window to the barest minimum. I mean, you can't be looking at two or three, four, 5 pages simultaneously. So you'd better go through them one after the other. Then in the case of rogue applications, you simply just go into your control panel, add remove program, and you uninstall them. So if you must run a torrent, you don't have to leave it installed on your computer around the clock. When you have the file you would need through the torrent app, even if it's illegal, like I said, in most part of the world, you simply uninstall the application. If for any reason you have to use it again in the future, then you can go back and re-download it. For your overzealous antivirus applications, you can actually go into the settings and tell your antivirus to probably scan in the middle of the night when you are not using it or when the computer is idle. Still on the antivirus issue, there are actually very free and good antiviruses out there that will not impact greatly on your computer resources. One of them is actually Avira. Another very good one is AVG. These antivirus actually have the complete free version that don't really impact on your PC applications. Then, if you have too many programs starting up automatically, you can go into your control panel or the settings of your computer and disable all of those applications that come up automatically as you boot your computers. Because most of these applications are actually designed to run automatically. And the developers of these applications don't really know what size or what configuration your PC has. So if all of these applications comes up every time you boot your PC, you find out that your PC will run slower over time. If your hard drive is full, over 90%, it is high time you delete softwares or applications you really do not use all the time. I'm going to be opening the phone lines in a moment, so you call in and ask your questions if you have any. Then later, before we round up the program, we're going to go into the ICT segments where we're going to be looking at hacking. The number to call is 081 89 99 1011. The number again is 081 89 99 1011. Keep the calls coming in, ask your questions, and I'll be here to try to answer them to the best of my ability. So, before you, okay, we have a call coming in. Hello, good
Hello?
evening. Hello, good
Who is
evening.
that?
Yeah, good evening. Who am I speaking with?
Hello?
Hello, good evening. Hello. Okay, we lost that call. Keep trying. I think there's a little glitch with the network, but just keep the calls coming in. We'll try and answer them. So this is the engine room, and the station is Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. We have a call. Hello.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Welcome to
This
the
is
engine
Ibrahim
room.
calling from Suleja, one of your trainees.
Okay, Ibrahim, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. I'm really enjoying the program. I just called to say hi.
Okay.
And sorry, I have this particular question I wanted to ask.
Okay, what's the question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, what's the question? I can hear you, Ibrahim.
Presently, in the market, laptop appears quite very cheap. So
Okay.
my fear is I don't know the exact product I need to go for that will serve my purpose. In me, I have the interest of going for Dell.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's advisable. Yes.
Okay, I think what I would advise is depending on your budget. Before you buy a computer, I know you would have set aside a particular sum, and what you
Okay,
simply what you simply can do is to go to the market. You can actually go and window shop first. Then another thing you can also do is to check up the reviews of these computers on the internet for other people that have actually bought these systems before and how they are performing. That would be a good place to start.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a wonderful day.
You're welcome, Ibrahim.
All right, bye-bye, sir.
So keep the calls coming in. This is the engine room. I talked about antivirus applications. If you have the budget, if you have the purchasing power for a good antivirus, it is actually good to get one of the licensed ones, because with the licensed ones you can actually get support from the software developers, and most of these antivirus developers, they actually have like a support center on their website whereby you could chat with a representative, or you could even put a call through to them, and if you have any technical issue, they can assist you. We have a call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the engine room.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, this is Maxwell, sir.
Okay, Maxwell, how are you today?
I'm fine. How's it work today, sir?
Very good. What is the question?
I'm tracking along with your program,
Okay, excellent.
and I have a problem with my laptop.
Okay, what's the problem?
Something that when I boost something to just go off like that.
When you turn it on, it goes off.
Yes, and initially, the problem whenever I on it, there's a message will not send that my inner battery is the power capacity of my inner battery.
Okay, the power capacity of your CMOS battery or your inner battery, which of them?
Yeah, it's low.
Okay, your CMOS battery.
Yes.
Okay, the CMOS battery is a power bank that holds very important settings of your computer even when it is off. That is the reason why if you put on your computer, even if you put it off even for 6 months, the moment you turn it on, you find out that some very important configuration are still intact, including your time. So what the CMOS battery does is it stays on and it keeps working over the years. So sometimes after about 2 or 3 years, it is advisable to take your computers to the service centers to have the CMOS battery changed. Because once the CMOS battery starts failing, then it doesn't hold important configuration. And then the entire computer can start failing as well. So if your computer reports a problem with the CMOS battery, I think it is high time you get it to the service center and have the CMOS battery changed.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, so talking about the antiviruses, they play a very key role in protecting our computers and keeping it up and running. So if you can afford it, it is always advisable to have a licensed antivirus. Then for our browsers, you can also keep your browsers up to date by downloading updates. The developers of these browsers actually send us periodic automatic update alerts. When there's an update, they send it to you. And most of us actually tend to ignore it because we always come up with this notion that we don't need it. But the truth is, for these developers to actually take the pain to come up with a higher version of the particular browser you're using, it simply means they probably discovered the bug and they fixed it. So a rule of thumb will be to always keep your browsers up to date.
Good morning, man.
Hello.
Yeah. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the engine room.
Thank you. Please, my name is Bukolo. I'm calling from Buse.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah. My problem is that my phone, whenever if I'm browsing, so at point of the time, it will just tell me, stop. Your application is not working. Do you want to report to so or okay or wait? So I don't know what kind of error is that one. I don't know how to rectify that problem.
Okay, one reason why your applications will fail on your phone is when you're running out of memory or when you're running out of storage. Most of our mobile devices actually come with limited storage. There's how most of these mobile devices actually work. You have your storage space, which is normally huge, 16 gig, 32 gig, 64 gig, and you have the RAM. The RAM is normally in the range of 1 gig, 2 gig, 3 gig, and maybe 4 gig. Now, when you install these applications, they actually use up your RAM. And once the RAM is full, even if you still have the main storage to be reading like maybe 20 gig free, once the RAM is consumed, then every applications actually have the tendency to start filling on your mobile phone. So one easy way out of this problem, without having to go to the service center, is to back up your entire information and probably do a factory reset on the phone. And after doing the factory reset, it is advisable to hook the phone up to a Wi-Fi connection and update your firmware. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we also want to guard against running too many applications at once, because running too many applications at once will actually tell on our RAM. So even if you have a lot of free space on your hard drive, running too many applications at the same time will impact the performance of a computer because you'll be running low on RAM. So at this juncture, we're going to be switching to the ICT segment. And today, we'll be looking at hacking and how to protect yourself. Most of us have our logins handy. When we find a computer with a free internet connection, we're always quick to get on board, type in our username and password, and hit the road and start browsing. Some of us actually even type in our banking details to every computer we find on the internet. Most of us also have the habit of going into a cafe and typing in our banking information. There's a lot of risks out there. There are a lot of rogue applications like we highlighted today that they're actually designed to steal these informations. On a public computer, most of them are actually not regulated. Any user can actually come and use the computer before you and install what we call a keylogger. A keylogger is an application that actually captures every keyboard stroke. That's every key you actually type on the keyboard. And other keylogger are actually designed to watch out for email addresses and passwords. Once they sense an email address, they capture all of the keys you type into the keyboard, they capture the password, and they send it back to the developer of the application. So most of the time, it is not wise to type in this important information on just any computer we find out there. Our banking information are precious information to us, because with your banking information, a rogue can easily empty your account. With your social media login, a rogue can actually get your login information, go into your account and start chatting with your innocent followers, with your innocent friends, and even make frivolous requests, and even try to rob them of their belonging. So we don't want to expose ourselves by just logging into any computer we find. Personally, I wouldn't type in my internet banking information in a public computer. I won't do that in a cafe. I won't do that in just any PC I find in the airport or in the lobby of any office, because a whole lot of individuals have actually used it before you, and you don't know what is running on this application. So a rule of thumb would be to, just do very basic things that would not require you providing your login information. I'll be taking a short break and I'll be back in a bit. Stay tuned and don't go away. The engine room, and your host is Daniel Ihile, the ICT guy. We're going to try to take a few more calls before we round up. We have about 5 minutes to go. So if you have questions, bring them in and let's try and treat them. So, talking about programs that start automatically on our PC, the best way to disable these applications is to actually go to our control panel and look up for programs that start up automatically. And on Windows, you can actually look up these programs by holding the Control Alt and Delete combination and clicking on the automatic startup tab and disable all the applications you don't want to come up automatically. We have a call. Hello, good evening.
Yeah,
Welcome to the engine room.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Ahmed.
Yeah, welcome, Ahmed. How are you and what's the question?
My question is actually an external hard drive I have and it's virus infected. What can I do about it?
Okay, you have an external hard drive that's virus infected.
Yes.
Okay, one of the easiest way to deal with those is to connect the hard drive to a computer that has an antivirus installed with the current update. So as long as the computer has an antivirus that's properly updated, it should deal with every virus on that hard drive. Yes, and depending on the level of infection, sometimes the antivirus might actually hide your files on the hard drive. So when you look at the hard drive, sometimes you might not see your files. It's not like they're deleted. They're actually there, but they are hidden. So when you scan them, it takes care of the antivirus and your files become visible again.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. You're welcome. Right. So programs that start automatically can actually be harmful to the performance of our PC. So we want to always ensure to uninstall an application we haven't used in about 1 month or more. So if you have applications you haven't run in a certain time, say like 1 month, then there are high chances that you probably never need these applications again, and you can uninstall them. It's about 3 minutes to go. So we're going to take one more call. So you can actually put your call through, ask your question. Let's try and trash it. This is the engine room with Daniel Ihile. If your hard drive is actually full, best way to deal with it is to delete unimportant files that you don't need. And most of the time, you can actually find most of these files under your download folder. Because most of us download the file, we make use of it, and we forget that's actually stored in the download folder. So we want to always go into our download folder most of the time, be it Windows or be it Mac, and deal with these files that we don't need. We have one more call. This will be the final call for the day before we round up. Hello.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Welcome to the engine room.
Okay, my name is Suleiman Fanasi. I'm calling from Karim.
Okay, Suleiman, how are you? And what is your question?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I like your program.
Okay, thank you very much.
Please, is this program, is it every day?
The program comes up once a week, every Tuesday.
Okay, it's every Tuesday.
Yes, from 5 to 6.
What time, sir?
From 5 to 6.
5 to 6.
Yes.
Thank you very much. My regards to ordinary president.
Sure, Hilde. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. So this is how we come to the end of today's episode of The Engine Room. Thank you for staying with us. We hope to do this again next week. My name remains Daniel Ihile, the ICT guy. Bye-bye.
With extraordinary giant strides, we at 101.1